Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another open source session co-organized by GDSC Unilag and MLSA Unilag. If you've been following the series of events, you would notice that we are we've been on a campaign, and today we are going to have a data edition, sort of. In this session, you'll be having people from the community talk about their open source experience and how you can also contribute as a data folk. And if you've seen the flyers, you also know that data analysts are also going to be involved in this, machine learning engineers too. So without wasting anybody's time, I would just like to um, give my co-moderator to introduce the speakers.
Hi, everybody. Good evening. I hope we've had a good day and a good week. So we have two speakers for this evening session, and I'll be briefly introducing both of them. First one is Josiah Adeshola. He is a machine learning engineer and a technical writer. A fun fact about him is that he prefers warm or cold food to steaming hot food, and he enjoys teaching. You can find him on LinkedIn at Josiah Adeshola, and he has interests in artificial intelligence, robotics, education, leadership, and startups. So that's our first speaker. Our second speaker is Samuel Bangbola. He is a Beta Microsoft Learn student ambassador and a machine learning engineer. He's a student of the University of Lagos, and surprisingly, he plays the violin. He has interest in natural language processing and building AI solutions for business cases. So we're inviting Samuel and Samuel to take over and lead the session. Samuel, are you here?
Yes, I am. Thank you very much, for Dara, for that introduction. So, good evening, everyone. As I've been introduced, I'm Samuel, and then firstly, we'll be talking about getting started with open source as a data techie or as a data professional. So I know many of us are into the data space, maybe data analysts, machine learning engineers, data scientists. Let me just focus on those three fields. And maybe I can also chip in data engineers, right? Oftentimes finding open source projects can be very difficult. And then in the sense that, you might not find so many things that you relate to. So, for example, as a data scientist, you're taking courses on building regression models with linear regression or with XGBoost or with random forest regressor and the likes of them, or your classification models you get. And then probably you go on GitHub and then you find out that most of the things you're seeing on GitHub as regards AI or ML have nothing, right? They have nothing to do with those things that you've learned. So what we want to talk about today is basically bringing you into the limelight of how you can actually contribute to open source as a data professional, right? So I would say from my own perspective as a data scientist, it's also been quite tough. I mean, for some time, finding things that I can contribute to, because most of the things you find as a data scientist or machine engineers are or Python, open source Python libraries, so like the sklearn that you work with, or maybe the XGBoost, or so many of them like that, TensorFlow and the rest that are open source. You get you might be able to, like, relate with them when you're building your models. But in terms of going through the actual repositories and saying, okay, what can I contribute to? You might be seeing stuff like, building some things with C++, and then all the tutorials you're taking don't even touch on C++, it's just Python. Or you're trying to, I mean, if you check Ivy's repository, you probably might have seen some stuff about implementing state-of-the-art machine learning models in JAX, right? So basically, what JAX is trying to do is bring in PyTorch, TensorFlow. I mean, what Ivy is trying to do is bring in PyTorch, TensorFlow, and JAX under one hood using one syntax, right? So you probably would have seen something under Ivy's repo that creates. So maybe they wanted to implement, um, for example, random forest classifier or something using JAX. I mean, using Ivy syntax, you get. So, but then you're gonna basically, like I already said, what Ivy does is to so I can use any of those frameworks using one syntax, which is the Ivy syntax. Something like that is very, very advanced and can be strange, to be honest. Like, I mean, they're teaching me how to split my data into 75% and 25%. And now in this report, they are telling me to build a state-of-the-art model in Ivy. Like, what's that? Right? That could be very, frustrating as someone that is just getting started in the data field. So I would say that, you know, it takes time and it takes, extra efforts to find resources that you can contribute to. It takes um, extra efforts, yeah. So, for example, if you are going through GitHub, right, to actually find repositories, let's say for a data scientist or a machine learning engineer, probably want to maybe in your searches to include something like beginner friendly, or to be honest, you might not even see many of those things. You might just see mostly stuff on documentation. Let's say there's a repository that contains a whole lot of documentation um, on machine learning related stuff. You get right. Then you are just like one I contributed to last year, October 1st. So it's kind of like a glossary of um, machine learning tutorials that you can take. So I just added one that I found very interesting. Things like that is, and things like that are what you find that maybe are beginner friendly, right? But it's still something. It's still a starting point, right? And then there are still, like I was saying, it takes extra effort, right, to find these things. You can actually spend more time to relate to or check through on repositories that you can check, you can contribute to, even though they are scarce, but they are there. And as regards data analysts, for example, I know I've been talking so much about GitHub, which is a version control platform, right? Like Bitbucket and some other ones. Right, but as data analyst, you mostly what you are working with is maybe building dashboards in Tableau or Power BI and the likes of them, or Google Looker. You get. So one way, right? I know data analysts can contribute to open source, right? Or I've seen, right? It's basically how you can compare how bug fixes work in for software engineers, right? So let's say for Web3 projects now that you might have seen online. So for Web3 projects that you might have seen online, you might have seen stuff like, okay, they spot a bug, there's this reward that you get. Instead of exploiting that bug, you can just report it to them, they'll fix it and they'll give you some money. It could be very huge at times, going to hundreds of thousands of dollars or tens of thousands of dollars, stuff like that. So as a data analyst, right, basically to expand what open source is, right, open source is much more beyond those contributing contributions on GitHub. Open source is contributing on GitHub, GitLab, and other version control platforms is just, let me not say a glorified way, but like, a more popular way of contributing to open source. But then open source in general doesn't mean pull requests and commit, right? It's much more beyond that. It's much more bigger than that. It can be in form of articles, you write a blog, right, on a project, and then it helps. Let's say, I mean, basically any article that you write on a particular product, right, that helps to correct something, like fix an issue, or helps to upskill people to know more about that product, right, and how to use that product is basically an open source contribution, right? Because it's out there. Obviously, it's maybe it's an open source project that you're writing on, So imagine you writing an article or something like MindDB or writing an article on something like TensorFlow, something in particular that you think people need to know about, right? And you publish it. That is an open source contribution. It doesn't necessarily have to be on GitHub, right? Or on Bitbucket or on GitLab, or you make a pull request. So as a data analyst, right, you could probably might have spot some things that you feel that maybe a product or an organization needs to know about, and then you gather your data, you make some analysis on it, and let's say you publish it on Twitter or you write an article on your analysis, and then people know about that thing. Probably the organization or the project, basically the project managers spot that article or spot that dashboard with your analysis and everything, and implement. I mean, of course, it's not all contributions that will be implemented. Just like in GitHub, not all pull requests that will be merged, right? So let's just say your contributions or your analysis are implemented. That is an open source contribution. You basically contributed to an open source project by putting your analysis out there, and then getting something getting something done basically for that particular organization or product. So that's just a summary of what I would say of how you can relate open source to a data professional. It's much more beyond GitHub. It's much more beyond pull requests and commits and cloning to your repository and all that you might have heard of. It's all about making an impact, right, to a product. Of course, you're not getting paid. Most times, you're not getting paid, right? So, but once it's public, once it's not enclosed. Let's say, for example, now like ChatGPT models and everything, you can't see the code anywhere. It's not open source in some way, right? So you can actually like contribute to the betterment of the model. Probably you could say some things, okay, this bias there and that. But like if I'm making comparison to an open source project now, something like that is an open source project. But then something like, let's say, um, recently Elon Musk open sourced the Twitter algorithm, right? And let's as a machine learning engineer, you spot something, okay, this is probably an issue, and maybe you write on it, or as a data analyst, there's this particular product that does something, and you feel that okay, maybe they are not maximizing their profits or they are not maximizing something. You make some that a visualization on it with, of course, with proper data, and publish it, or you document your analysis. That is an open source contribution. And so that's just all I have to share from my experience contributing to open source as a data professional. I think Desire might have one or two other things that I would like to share.
and I'll be sharing my screen. So basically, very simple. Someone like
Yeah, Desire, I think probably, what I was asking like for you to share your experience with open source so far, right? Before we go into how you can find resources or projects that you can
Samuel has
contribute to.
talked about
So it's
open source,
basically
so I
you sharing
touch
your experience.
PyTorch stuff with open source. Okay, so like we have PyTorch, we have PyTorch, we have TensorFlow and the likes. So most times they are always like very complex. So I will just show you like several stuff that I've contributed to, like some of them have contributed to that they are quite easy and they contribute to. For instance, I remember there was a time I time I wrote an article. So like he said, I'm also a technical writer. I wrote an article on like what is it called? I wrote an article on a product, an AI product that is used for testing like AIs, or if your model is fake or something, yeah, and it's okay. So I was writing there now in like an issue, just a very simple stuff. So I opened an issue. So this is it I'm showing you here. So most of the time it does not have to be like a very difficult stuff. So it's not like what Samuel said, it's not until when your pull request is being matched or something like that, that you like just creating an issue. For instance, let's say you go to a documentation as pertaining to like machine learning, like the libraries you think you love and or solutions you feel like they are very good and they are open source, like they are public basically, and you just find out that something is wrong there. So you just go to the documentation and
Okay, guys. Sorry about that. Josiah had some issues with his network, so I'll be going on to explain what we have next on our agenda, right? And that is on, you know, finding open source projects to contribute to, which is kind of a bit of what Josiah started uh, to explain. All right. So for this, right, I'll be coming from a perspective of a data scientist or a machine learning engineer, right? And the first thing I'll be making use of GitHub. I think it's something that we're all very, very familiar with. So um, that will be that, right? For data analysts, like I already mentioned, most of your work doesn't revolve around version control services like GitHub or any of them. Most of the work revolves around, maybe documenting your analysis, sharing online to those particular kind of products that are open source, right? And then that's one way you can actually contribute. So as regards data scientists now or machine learning engineers, or let me say data engineers, that your work could involve you interacting with version control services a lot more, then you can just follow along. So in the spirit of October 1st, the first process I'll be walking you through is how to find projects that are related to machine learning or data science using October 1st. I mean, under the October 1st tag. So work with me. First thing you need to do is head over to the october1st.com website, right? And then Once you do that, you probably would have signed in here, start hacking, or registered for October 1st, basically. And once you're done with that, you can head over to participation. Then under participation, you just need to scroll down a bit, and get here. So there are different things you can explore here. So for GitHub, you can explore projects with issues, um, um, on these different sites. And then what I want to focus on is projects that have the October 1st tag. So I'm just going to follow through this link that has been attached here, right, which I've already opened up by the site. So come over here and then you definitely want to search for machine learning, or let's say data science, for example, or data in general. So I've just typed in my machine learning here. You can scroll down to check. You can see transformers here. I think many of us are familiar with Hugging Face transformers, right? Not many of us, but you know how Hugging Face transformers work for natural language processing and the likes of it. So you have Gradio here. You have different open source machine learning um, libraries or repositories that are open source, having the Hacktoberfest tag on the repository. So the next thing you want to do is find the one that is beginner friendly, right? So you can just keep scrolling down or going to the next page to find the one that probably maybe has the least number of contributions so far and stuff like that, right? So it's not very necessary, right, that you look for a repository that you think is simple enough. You know, by the time you go into the repository, this repository, you'll be able to like know, okay, there's something that is simple enough for me to contribute to, right? So let me just scroll down a bit and see if I have something. Okay, it's saying something about Streamlit machine learning app, right? So let me just open this up and see if there are open issues there. So this is fast API. Okay. So this is one way you can go about finding uh, open source project that you can contribute to, right? So now there are not so much there's no open issue on this particular repository. I don't even think okay, there's been some contributions from the pull request you can see here, but there's very few. So this is not a good repository to contribute to. So let me just head over to the top one and find open issues to kind of explain how you can, look for what you want to contribute to. So now opening this up, you can see here under transformers that you have about 700 issues, right? So the first thing you want to do, if you are making a research on what you can contribute to, the first thing you want to do is actually go to the issues that are currently open on that repository, right? And then search through. You can just read through. That's why I said it can take time. I mean, generally, if you want to contribute to open source, you probably might have maybe something in mind. Okay, let me check out this particular repository and see what I can contribute to. Fine. Otherwise, if you're just scouting, then this is like the way to go. You know, check different projects and read through the issues of what you feel you might relate to that might be beginner friendly. So now opening this transformers um, repository and under issues, I just want to scroll down and see if there's something that might be beginner friendly, right? You can actually even use the labels to search. So let me check if they have the um, good for first issue, good first issue, yeah, good first issue type label. So I can click this and see if there's any open. Okay, fine. There are open issues that are labeled good for first issue. So you can just scroll down and say, okay, now say this good first documentation issue. Of course, this doesn't have the October 1st label, but then the repository itself has the October 1st label. So it serves as a value. If you make contribution towards this, you probably will get, um, your contributions added towards October 1st by the team reviewing that. So we can go on and, open this issue to see what's talking about. Let's go down and we'll see other things that, okay, see add model resources here. October 1st accepted. Doctors, this is probably about docs. Let me see if there's something maybe more related to machine learning that might be maybe easy to relate to. right? File those issues loaded. Okay. So let's focus on these two first. So now if you read through this issue, now you see Hyperline there a lot of cool existing resources for how to do X and X, how to do X with X model and the likes of them. You can read through this issue and see what they're actually asking for, right? So anyone can contribute. You just need to comment and claim one of the models in this list. So not, I've identified the 20 models by pages, and now I would like to open it up to the computer again to further help me. So what they want is this this help users see how they can get out of the model from their own tasks. Since we know a lot of users check out the model documentation first. So from what I can see here, it's basically you writing the documentation on a Hugging Face transformer model, right? So to know how people can use it. So now this person is saying he wants to work on an OpenAI GPT, right? So it's probably going to write a documentation on how you are going to be able to use or maybe sample code and stuff on how to use OpenAI GPT, right? So this is one way you can make your contributions. Let's check out this person's addition to see how what his contribution was, and it was successfully merged. So you want to head over to file streams, right, and see. So you can see under resources, yeah, there's a few resources, um, a blog on how to, so you basically added different resources, right, that you can reference to get started with GPT. So going here also, this is another issue that we checked out. Add more model resources. You can see different things here. You want to add resources to that particular model that people can actually make use of to like know how to use whatever model it is. So it's basically you having like for this particular issue now what is happening is that you have a particular model, let's say it's BERT, for example, and then you wanted to like create a list of resources that one can use to learn about BERT or know how to make use of BERT, right? So this is a typical way of how you can make your research to find resources or projects that you want to contribute to. Another general way, I mean, first we just only use machine learning. Let me see if we get something on data science. Right, this is just using for October 1st tags, right? So you can see different things, schedule, galaxy, Python, data science. I think this is actually a GDSC repository, right? So let's actually even check that and see. So there are some open issues here. Create a watermark on images using OpenCV. I think this is something that we're very familiar with. We can contribute to this. You get edge detection, matching for object detection. I mean, this is a part of the repository that you can contribute to for those that work with computer vision model, maybe with PyTorch and the likes of it. You get, or maybe with TensorFlow. It's something you can contribute to. So definitely, it's not about us reading the title of the issue. We want to go through the description. So right now, there's no description for this issue. So basically, a straightforward as it is, right? So you just add the script of what you want to do. So this person created a script or a code of detecting face detection, right? With and yeah, added the script there, and it is merged. As simple as that, right? You want probably also want to check pull requests that have been made to this doesn't get object detection, and so this is a private repository that you can contribute to, and that was we found this repository just by simply going to the October 1st site to search for repositories that have the October 1st tags, and then we searched for data science, and we found this GDSC data science repo, and it's something that we can all relate to in terms of its computer vision with whether TensorFlow or PyTorch that you want to make use of, right? So this is the perfect way. And another way is generic, just heading over to github.com and searching blank search. Let's say you search something like um, machine learning. Machine learning, right? Okay. So you can see different things, repositories, issues. You can, let's say, filter. I think you should be able to filter by language. Let's say you are familiar with Python. Let's select Python. So you are seeing repositories with machine learning, or in fact, let me not even dwell on machine learning. Let me just write data alone. All right, PyTorch data and different things. You could definitely look for things that don't require so much technical expertise like code. Of course, documentation is one thing about wanting to contribute to that, and you probably might be able to find open source data collection process like a repository that I also briefly talk about too. So these are the numerous ways you can actually like contribute to open source projects, right? And then I'll check back with Josiah now to see his is back, and then he would walk you through two repositories that I found interesting that you can also leverage for October session or for open source contribution in general, along with this beautiful one we just found here too. So let me check back with it.
Hello, Josiah, are you there?
Yeah, I'm with you. All right. Yeah. Okay. I hope you can hear me. I'm deeply sorry, actually. Yeah, I'm deeply sorry for the network issues. So yeah, let's just get started. So basically, what I'll be taking us through will be, so I'll be taking us through like repositories that I contributed to. And like Samuel said, I don't know where you stopped hearing me for. I'm sorry about that. So I was talking about one of the repository like I contributed to. So for instance, so I think Tammy mentioned something that it's not necessarily that you have a commit and your commit is imaged. I think he has even we've talked personally a few times and he has said that several times and he said that on this call. So for instance, just creating an issue like kind of helps a lot. So, for instance, I think at one point there was a time maybe someone noticed that in the documentation, like the spelling is wrong. So, for instance, maybe you notice that the spelling is wrong in a documentation that you love, of maybe Python library or something related to data or machine, or even anything that you feel is good and is open source. You can just make some corrections and maybe open a pull request. And funny enough, it could get meshed or it should get meshed. So, for instance, this one was I think this is around September 3. That's like a month ago. I remember I was writing an article. So while writing the article, I was kind of doing some research and the likes. So then I noticed that I got to a point, I clicked on a link on one of the documentation I was reading because I'm trying to like solve something so I will know if it's working. So I just noticed that the link was not working, like it was just empty. And according to the doc, they were like saying when you click on this, you take you here. And I was very shocked, and I really needed to like use that link at that point in time. So I just created just like an issue here that okay, I noticed that this was happening, the stuff is empty and the likes. And funny enough or good enough, it got resolved later on. So something like that, like I've contributed to open source, though it does not have the October first basically, but I don't think that matters. The major thing is that at least we're able to like contribute in one way or the other. So that's one. So another one you can easily contribute to. So this one is maybe kind of simple, but I discovered or I'm still using basically um, a machine learning tutorial called, I know it's very popular. I don't know, maybe not for everyone too, but it's kind of popular. So it's called ML Zoom Camp. So yeah, machine learning Zoom Camp. So for instance, the machine learning Zoom Camp. So I will just show you. I hope you can see my screen. So give me a minute to confirm that you can see my screen. Can we see my screen?
Yes,
Hello.
yes, Josiah, we can see your screen.
So what I was saying was that, so look at this. This is like a machine learning Zoom camp. So the beautiful thing about this stuff is I'm not doing an ad here, so it's not compulsory you check it out. I don't know them and I don't think they know me. Okay, so the major stuff here about this stuff is that this is like a learning tutorial basically for anyone that wants to do machine learning, like the engineering part. So basically, this is a tutorial, right? But in this tutorial, the good thing is that you can take the tutorial and add your notes. For instance, let's say this is introduction, so let's say this is introduction. Maybe after taking the course and after reading the MD file, that's like a kind of a readme file and the likes, you can easily add your notes here. You can add your notes here. I know, like that's like you are contributing basically. You make some comments and you can open a pull request and like you can easily contribute. So that's another way of contributing to open source because they made it available to everyone. Like I think I was showing someone that look at these guys here. So I clicked on this link for instance. So if the guy added his like his WordPress website where he summarized the part one of the tutorial he learned. So in this case, like it's a two-way thing. Like he's gaining for the fact that he's bringing traffic to his website. Like quite a number of people must have clicked this, and I'm among them. So he's bringing traffic to his website. He's also contributing to open source. And if I find this okay, like I'm also learning at the same time. So you might not have your own website, but let's say you want to, sorry, let's say you want to, you can even create, everybody knows how to use Colab, like at least you should have an like Android, you should have some understanding of Colab at least, even though it's basic, or Jupyter notebook. So you could even write something on Colab as a notebook and you can just put the link here and you can just put it as your own personal note. So in that case, you are learning, when you write, like you learn properly, like it helps you learn and it helps you to also pass knowledge. So this is a way of contributing to open source, like very practical, very easy and all. I know, I think the thing is like I joined the call. So the thing is like when the more you contribute, is that the right word? Like the more you contribute, and maybe it gets measured or not, the more you have the boldness to like contribute more. So it's just about starting something. So another one is this. Look at, they have issues here. So and the issues are very simple. For instance, like look at this, they need timestamps. So I they call it time code, but I think basically it's timestamp for this YouTube video. So if they have a YouTube video and they need you to like put in timestamp. So I remember I think I did one the other time and like it got, I was appreciated for it. So it was assigned to this guy, but it is since 2022. That's over a year now. He has not done anything. So contribution is like you are, everybody is helping everybody, just like a community something. So you can just, easy way of doing this is if you want to take this up yourself, so I can give you an hack. The easy way of doing this is to download the YouTube video with this nsave.net, and so after downloading the YouTube video, there's a lot of free ML transcription apps or web apps online. Do not everything is free, but if you search properly, you should see few that are free. So once you just search, you see anyone that is free, just transcribe it. Once it's transcribed, put it inside chat GPT, tell it to like process it in form of what is it called, in form of YouTube timestamp. So like it's going to put like the, it will start from 0.00. Sorry, let me just show you what I'm talking about. Okay, look at the one I did here. So I did one here. So it has been closed because I was able to like, comment on this. So you see, basically there was no pull request, but this was more of a comment, and I was part of the participant, and I was appreciated. So like I did it. So after transcribing the video with one app, everything is all ML too. So I put it into ChatGPT. Then ChatGPT helped me generate this. So I just, you have to clean it a bit and the rest. So then see, time codes updated. Thank you. These are about yesterday. So I just said that let me even test one or two things here. So and it got, like it was appreciated. So another one I want to show before I round up. So look at this. I was trying to put a summary. So this has not been merged yet. So I was trying to put a summary for an intro. I just watched the video and I found the video interesting. And I was writing, I was enjoying myself because I love writing too. So I was trying to like put in something. So you see, my stuff got reviewed by the maintainer, and I had to like remove some extra lines. So I kind of resolved that lately. So it'll be very soon when this thing move from still in progress, it can get merged. So these are just basic stuff, and people stuff get merged like learners form. So it's just this like a learning service. See, someone updated his homework. Did is I don't know if it's is or her. There are many genders now. So this person updated the homework, and you see it got merged yesterday. So as a person, you can like you can do anything. You can come to this site, and it's not only machine learning zone camp. There are several others like Samuel should, but on this data talks repository, there are several others. We have maybe I don't know the kind of people that are here. So maybe some people are into data engineering. There's even something here you can follow through, or you are into ML ops, and you can check the other page. But I've not checked others, but I've checked these three before. So the first stage, I think Samuel has showed you just have to like fork the repo and do the like. So that's not my own part to talk about. So that's it. Then I remember the one I did. There's one other one that will be the last one I'll be talking about. I think. Oh, sorry. I thought I opened it here. So that one is what is it called? Is on this the October first. So I think Samuel will still talk more about. So Samuel is like the maintainer there for the October first. So very easy, just very simple stuff. So we have what is it called? We have some issues that are there. So Samuel is the main guy here, so you can always reach out to him. So like now for this, I remembered I had some like I had some of my stuff that has been meshed. I think I've done 4 times now. If you can check this here, is on the leaderboard. So I've done 4 times. So basically, what I even did here, I've not even written any code. So what I did here was, I think you must have seen the picture here and there of you could contribute to open source by just taking pictures. So you saw that Sabino's photo. So what I was doing was that most times I'm always on the move, not every time, but quite a number of times. So while on the move, just take my phone, even though some of the images are blurry. So I just try to make sure that it's not too blurry. So I just take my phone out and I just take pictures around. So talking about bungalow. So Samuel will talk more about that. It's not in my place. So I'm just trying to tell you that okay, this is what I did. And there are also issues there. Like we have issues of speech to text functionality, which I've been working on personally, but I've been having a lot of bugs. So maybe when I get free from my bugs, I'll be able to like contribute. So what we're just trying to talk about here is that contributing to open source as an ML engineer or the data analyst is just about looking for repos. So I just exposed us to at least this data can has like 3 repos. And the good part is that there are many repos. All right, so there are many repos you can contribute to. So I think I'm done. So Samuel will do justice to the rest. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Josiah, for that walkthrough. We'll be handing over to Samuel now. So you just take us through the MLS.
Okay, thank you very much, Desire. Thank you very much. Um, so yes, I'll be picking up from where Josiah stopped, and I'll be explaining um, how you can make your first pull requests and contributions while making use of the MLSL repo that Josiah already hinted us about. So I'll head over to, okay, I have the link here, the repository here. All right. And basically, what this repository is all about is um, three different projects, right? The first one is an image classification project on different building sites, which Desire was talking about him contributing to the images and having blurry images. So the project is about we open source the data collection process. So as you can see from here, you can also contribute to different images on this particular repository, right? So there are different images from different people here. So going back to this, so this is just a classification problem using computer vision to identify whether a building is a bungalow, story building, or high rise, which includes skyscrapers, right? So you can always go to the contribution guidelines. Like most Oktoberfest, for Oktoberfest, the guidelines, the requirements, um, let's say the requirements require us. I don't know if that's allowed, but basically the requirements require us to have contribution guidelines to the repository and a few other things so that whoever is contributing to the repository or whoever wants to contribute to the repository can always go through. So it's something that you should look out for when you want to make contribution to a GitHub repo. Check through their contribution guidelines so that by the time you're making a pull request, you know that okay, you should be expecting it to get merged, right? Because if you are not following the guidelines, then don't even expect to have your pull request merged in any way because it doesn't follow their principles or their guidelines for how they want to work with that repository. So this is the contribution guidelines, or this is the contribution guidelines for each of the different projects. The second project is the speech translation project, so from English to Yoruba, Igbo, or Hausa, right? And then the final one is on prediction of the your one GPA of Nigerian students. So basically, we created this three different projects to um, be something that we as data scientists or machine learning engineers can relate to, even from tutorials that you've taken, right? So as a complete beginner, you definitely have worked on a regression problem, maybe to predict stock price or something, or predict housing prices, right? Then project three is just more like what you've been working on. And then if you've done any classification problem of maybe cats and dogs with TensorFlow, or you've done any the Titanic classification set, right? Then in a way you can relate to this project one, right, on classification of different building types. And the second one, project two, is a speech translation service project using Azure AI services. Right? So back to the homepage of the repository. Um, I will show us how we can make our first contribution as um, a data scientist or as a machine learning engineer as regards this repository, right? So I think we kind of fully understand what the repository is talking about. We've gone through the contribution guidelines in a way, and then we know what the projects are talking about. So just to add, there's also a leaderboard currently here that keeps track of total met pull requests. We're also checking for impact, right? And there are rewards also associated with this challenge. Just to keep it in, for our weekly top contributors, we have LinkedIn premium vouchers. And then for the best contributor, at the end, we are giving out vouchers to take any Microsoft fundamental exam of your choice. So, but then let's go into how you can make your first pull request. So the first thing you want to do is head over to that repository. It could be this one. It could be the other one that we found. Let me see, like, yeah, it could be also this one, right? That which I found while we are checking through October 1st app site that help us to find repository. So the first thing you want to do is to fork the repository. So let me head over back here. Right, you want to click on fork, and then it takes you to a place where basically you're creating a new repository, but you are creating a fork. You are taking the repository based on the repository you want to make contributions to, right? So you're going to create, yeah, basically what a fork is, you creating your own version of the project in your own profile, right? So it's as simple as saying that, okay, one of my friends is working on his laptop with code and stuff, and then I want to help him to make some changes. So normal thing you want to do is, inside a flash drive or a hard drive, copy all that he has done so far to your own laptop or to your hard drive, work on it, and then come back and send it back to him. So basically, that's like a layman explanation of what a fork is, right? So yeah, by forking this repository now, you are putting in your flash drive, collecting or copying the folder of all the code and everything from your friend, and then putting on your flash drive or your hard drive, and then bringing it, pasting it back into your laptop. So by the time I click create fork, I'm basically pasting it back into my own laptop so I can make changes on my end, right? Okay, so we will just wait a few seconds for this to load up. Okay, now we have our own fork. So for this sample or this walkthrough, what I'm going to be doing is using code spaces. I'm not going to be doing anything as cloning to my repository. So code spaces is actually an amazing tool that you can make use of, right, while using GitHub. So it gives you a web interface of an actual IDE, an IDE like integrated development environment, like your VS Code and the rest. You get me. So with code spaces, we don't necessarily have to set up anything offline. That's on your local machine. And then with code spaces, um, like I already explained, it's just straight up from the web, right? You want to head over here, click code. You know, if you're going to clone the repository, you're still going to head over here by the same way to click code. You want to go to local, then you copy the link and you go to your terminal and type git clone and you paste this. So, but we're not going to do any of that. So we're just going to click go from local. We head over to code spaces and then we click create code space on main. So now you're creating this code space on your own fork repository, right? So I'm going to click create code space on main. And I'll wait for a few seconds or about a minute for this to load up. So like for code space, right, it's not entirely free, but on the free version you have 120 core hours, right? If you're using just one core, right, um, you have 120 hours for free in a month. So you can say 60 hours generally, right, for free in a whole month to use code spaces. So definitely, I'll still explain that when you're done working on whatever thing you're doing, definitely want to come back here and, you know, when this is done, it will give you an option to stop the code space. So that means you don't want it to keep running um, and then using up your allocated time that you have to use for that particular month, right? So once this is done setting up, you see that it doesn't actually even take so much time. Every one of these setup does not use your data. Like the installation of dependencies and everything has nothing to do with you downloading anything. You're actually not downloading anything. Everything is set up for you on the cloud, right? But definitely you need the internet to be able to view this and run this. You get. But if you're installing libraries or you're cloning the repository, of course, by the time you're cloning the repository, for you're familiar with git clone or something, you know that it will take some megabytes of the size of the repository, right? So nothing like that consumes your data while using Git code spaces. I mean, while using GitHub code spaces. So right now, I think probably I want to work on let me say project three. Right, I'm just going to make a simple contribution to this and make a pull request. So we already know that project three. Let's go through the readme. Let me scroll down a bit. So this is completely set up, by the way. You don't need to do any pip install requirement. Everything has been installed. It's just for you to make your contribution and move on, right? So we have this here for project three. They told I said I can contribute to the project. There's a survey to fill for the project since we're making prediction on GPA, right? And then to improve the machine learning model, all that is there basically. And then for the deployment, there's something on the deployment using Streamlit. So this is what I want to contribute to, right? I just want to make a starter code that people can make use of while they're working with Streamlit. But in this requirement uh, .txt, right? I'm not sure the Streamlit there. Okay, the Streamlit already, sweet. So that I don't need to install any extra thing. So if you are familiar with the command line, all you want to do is maybe um, use cd into project 3 and the rest of them, but we're not going to do that. We're just going to make it as simple as possible. So I'm just going to right click on this, right, on that project 3 and click, let me say, app.py, right? Since it's basically a web interface, I'm just going to name it app.py. So once I create that file, it's basically just like you working on your repository, right? So, I mean, for those of us that have been working with GitHub or with version control, you want to work in Git. So I probably might just say, okay, since I just created this script, let me just make a commit, right? You can use your normal git command, your git status, right? You check, okay, there's a new file added, git add everything, then git commit created script, right? For project created string script for project 3, and I push my changes. So what I push my changes is just basically the normal commands that you use it with if you're on Visual Studio Code. But this time around you don't need to do any git clone. You get me? If I go back to my Fox repo now and I refresh, I will see this commit has been added. So you can see that it's now showing that one commit ahead of the main. So created Streamlit script for project 3. If I enter project 3, I will see that this app.py script has been added. So let's go back and just add a few things, right? So let me say import Streamlit as st, right? And if I let me say I decide to check the Streamlit documentation, documentation of maybe since so part of the data will be collect person will want to input is like the jam score or something. So let me check how the person can input the jam score, and let's say the white. Uh, let's start with the numerical values that maybe a bit more straightforward, right? For example, there's jam score. I'll go to API reference input and where can I number input. So I click on that and then just scroll down to see how I can do that. Insert a number. So I just say, so I copy this, come back to my script, and let's say, uh, what was your answer? Your what was your jam score? Which is part of the data we are going to make our predictions on. So I rename this jam score, for example. We don't actually need to display this, but let's say the person input it and let's say the jam score was, for example, score was jam score, right? Say, if you might decide to say, okay, let me make another commit, right, for the changes that you've made. So say git status, right? Git add, git commit, added input for jam score. So you basically want to be making these changes in bit so that you can keep track of what you're doing. I know if you're a mistake, there's a way you can actually follow up. So what other thing that we're asking for is so white grid now. So let's see where you can have a drop down. So like select button, for example. So let's say this will be the option. Um, so we're having 3 options, right? Let's 5 options. But let's just do for math, for example. You get me. So we have this uh, math. What was your grade in math? What was your grade in math? What was your Y grade in math? So we have a for the data we're only collecting A, B, C, D, E, F. We don't have anything to do with A1 and the rest, right? So we have this F and oh, there's no G. I was about to type G. I played the violin by the way, so I think my mind was already going to music. So lots A, B, C, D, E, F. So let's do for English also. What was your Y grade in English? So we have that, and then let's say it just displays. Um, okay, let's bring this out. Then your jam score is this. This is just sample, right? Your math, Waec grade was math, your English Waec grade was English. So now this is where we're gonna stop. But then definitely you know that you want to make sure that what you are contributing is working, right? Actually work. So you want to test it out and see if what you built makes sense. So what you want to do is Streamlit. If you're familiar with how Streamlit runs, you want to like test it out. You can actually still go to the documentation if it's at the end here, but you can see how you can run it. So basically just Streamlit run. So now since the app the file is in another folder, so we're going to do project underscore three app.py. I mean app dot yeah the file, and we run that. Oh, telling me Streamlit not found. From the keep install Streamlit, you should have installed it actually, or probably you didn't have it. So let's run that. Uh, hmm, really, what could be? Okay, let me feed into uh, project three. Then those use Streamlit run. Oh, am I spelling it right? Let me check if I'm spelling it right. Yeah. Stream STRAM run after I. Okay, still telling me that it's not running. So basically, right, what you want to do is to test out the application and see it's giving you what you want it to give you. So let me see why this could be an error. Let's quickly try and fix that, and then we'll run the script to test again to see what can be wrong. Okay. So basically, all I have done now is just on Streamlit. You get. Okay. Let me go back again. So I need to post this, import Streamlit. Uh, I mean, this shouldn't be an issue. Let me just see this. So probably it might change it. Let's see. So this let me see this way. Okay, so this is just mine. Let me see the Streamlit command we want now. Streamlit run app.py. Okay, I still saying it's not fine, but basically, right now, what this is meant to show us is a drop down of how everything should look like and everything. You get you inputting a number, you selecting whether you had an A, B, C, D, or E or F in your math, and then whether in your wires, and it got displayed to you. So we can decide to save this now, and then push the changes. So let's say we do git status to check what files are sent. Let's go back to the root directory, by the way. Let me create a new command line. That's stuff messing up. Right. So git status to check that git add git commit made changes to send the script. So let me say um, added input for math and English grades, right? So we've done that commit and then we'll push our changes. So your contribution could be something as simple as this. So now we'll push our changes and then you want to come back here to your fork and then refresh, right? So once you're done refreshing, you would see some things that it should bring up for you. Let me just wait for this to properly load up. Okay, so while it's loading up, so that's just basically how you can use GitHub Codespaces to make your contributions without actually doing anything locally on Visual Studio Code, right, or on your laptop or anything like that, right? It's that simple and it's that efficient, saving you data costs and everything. I'm just wait for this to load up with the network. Uh, so it's back up now. It's back up now. So you can see something like branch is 3 commits ahead of MLSA Nigeria main now. So you can click on this. You can actually click on this or you can click on contribute, open pull request. So either one, right? You can click on this or click on this because this particular one that is showing ahead. So once you click on 3 commits ahead, meaning that you've made 3 changes or you've committed 3 new changes uh, to your own fork that now makes it ahead of um, the main repository that you're trying to contribute to. So you can now click create pull request. So you can see that it's a mentioned that you change only one file, which is you adding the new app script, right? So you can just click create pull request, give it a name, added let's say added starter script for Streamlit deployment for project 3. So then, if you want to add a comment or something, you can go ahead and do that. I think for Oktoberfest guys, what they usually like to do is add Oktoberfest tag to their labels, but it's not entirely necessary. Guys, if it's Oktoberfest season, you can go ahead and do that, right? But since the repository already has the Oktoberfest tag, once your pull request is made, it automatically counts towards Oktoberfest. But you can also go ahead and just add the Oktoberfest label to your pull request if you wish. So you can click create pull request, and this is exactly how you can create your first pull request or contribution to a repository, right? As a data scientist or as a machine learning engineer or as an enthusiast, basically, on GitHub. So since I'm a maintainer, I can actually review this, right? So if we go back to the main repository, you can see now that my own pull request that I just made, you can see opened now by Sammy Banks, which is my profile name, right? I can go through and review it and say, okay, I made some changes here, and then this is it. And if I feel that it's okay, I'll just click review changes. Okay, since because I'm the creator of the repository, I cannot approve, but then I can merge it because I'm a maintainer. So someone else can review my repository, my pull request and approve it or something, right? But since I'm a maintainer, I can go ahead and say, okay, I want to merge or I want to close this pull request, like it doesn't meet requirements or something. But I can definitely still add a comment that okay, this is what happened. Change this, change that, as you can see in the options, right? So whoever is maintaining the repository or is reviewing your pull request can either approve your pull request and then merge later or request changes if there are some issues or just comment on it. And that's just actually it. So I'll leave this up because I mean, except if you're a maintainer, then you come to this side and click on merge and the rest of it. But basically, in summary, this is how you can make your first pull request as a data scientist or a data professional in general using GitHub to any project. So I invite you to come make more contributions to this repository. There are so many issues that you can walk through: the transition, workflow, implementation, using functional programming, contributing to images for project one, which is a non-technical contribution, and so many other things actually. So I hope with this sample you are more familiar or you have better idea and knowledge of how you can make open source contributions on GitHub and in general. Um, Thank you.
Thank you very much, Samuel, for that insightful walkthrough. Although your screen was not moving for the many parts, I don't know what happened. But we'll be taking questions now. So if anybody has questions, you can drop it in the YouTube comment section, and we'll um, direct it to any of the speakers. Okay, so this would just hold for like 2 more minutes, and if you don't have questions, always remember you can always ask questions on the community. And in the meantime, I'd be see throughout this learning, we would have been exposed to a lot of words that are not familiar with us, or maybe for beginners, everything is still like looking um, magical. So we'll be sharing a guide, sort of like a guide that would help beginners basically. So when you are hearing fork, you're hearing merge, pull requests, we're hearing all those stuff. It will basically break it down. So it was written by the community, also most of the community leads, and we'll be sharing it with you later. It also contains links to repos that you can contribute to. So we're still waiting on questions. Then for repos that you can contribute to, I think Josiah already talked about the fact that it doesn't have to be like a code repository. You can always go into like no code contributions, or you're just doing good first issues, like Samuel mentioned, and just look out for documentations that you can just um, edit and improve. It doesn't really have to be a grammatical blunder, but you can also improve it. Maybe you have some form of technical writing knowledge. You can open a PR and suggest how the documentation can change. But for the big ones among us, you can always take on serious projects. And in the resource we are sharing, would um, would put out advanced, intermediate to advanced level of okay, so someone wants to quickly go over the parts where he made a PR again. So we'll just let him do that real quick. Samuel, are you ready?
Yes, I am. Sorry about that. I think probably some network glitch or something. Uh, so I just want to quickly go over um, making that CR again. So what I'm just going to do is add one more change here to this. So I'll click, let me say, whether it was economics or something, but we'll just name the subject 3, right? Or your Y grade in your third core subject. So I'll just add that and then you say your Y grade in your third core subject was So subject 3. Right, so I'll just save that and then make the QR again. I mean, push my changes with commit added um, third core, and say added input for third core subject, right? And then git push. So now I've made these changes. By the time I come back to the repository, let me go back to my own work. So once I go back to my own work, I'm sorry, Dara, can you quickly confirm if you can hear me?
Yes, I can. So
Okay, thank you. So I'll go back to my own work now and then make the PR, right? So like I was trying to explain the other time, now because the PR has not been merged, so it's showing that 4 commits ahead of this. So what I can just do is like I can either click 4 commits ahead here, or I'll click contribute here. You can see open pull request. So either one works, right? So, but make sure that if you're going through here, you're clicking ahead because there will be some cases where changes would have been made to the fork, and then it should now show you are maybe 2 commits behind. That you should, can also click on that to update your fork, right? But if you actually want to make a pull request and contribution to the repository, you either want to click this ahead or you click contribute open pull request. So let me click 4 commits ahead, and then it will take me to where I can make my pull request. So you can see checking uh, all that. So view pull request. I want to create a new one. Okay. So because this one has not been met, let me close this one. So once I close it, I'll go back and make a new pull request with all those changes. So let me click 4 commits ahead now. So now because that one has been closed, so I can click create pull request now. So it's basically this create pull request, right? So you set all the changes that I've made. So let me name it as the same thing I did. Added starter script, but let me say added input for project for subject 3 and script for semi deployment for project 3. Right. So I can just click create pull request here. So that's just basically it. And that's how you make your first contribution. My screen stopped at some point, so I just wanted to quickly go over this, right? So once you see this now, you see files change. Like whoever is viewing it, the maintainer of the repository, you can see that now we're back to the main repository where we forked from, right? Whoever is reviewing it can come over to this file and check the changes that you've made. You can see that there's only one file, which is the app.py, and that's totally fine. So you can click review changes. I can't approve because I'm gonna created a pull request, but someone else that can do that can approve my changes. But I can also comment, right? And then I head over to conversations back again, and then I click merge pull request since there is no conflict. That's if you're a maintainer, you can't merge your own pull request. It's definitely the maintenance of the repository, right? This AI has provided analyst repository that can make your pull request. So yes, that's basically how you can make your first pull request. Sorry, my screen hung at some point, but now I think you kind of have a full overview of how you can do that now. So thank you very much. Thank you, Tara, for giving me the time to do this briefly.
thank you very much, Samuel, for that quick one. We'll be rounding up now. I'm going through the comments now. There's really no question. So if any question arises, we'll just take it on the group chat. Then I don't know if any of the speakers have any other thing to say before we conclude. But the community should bear in mind that there will be the resource going out, and they should be ready to contribute no matter your level of expertise, because open source should not be really a complex thing. There will be, as someone mentioned, for the MLSA repo, there'll be contributions where you just have to contribute images to a data set or contribute audio, like you just making your own data set and making it open source. So that shouldn't be much. And there's also going to be no code contributions. Although it says no code, but you still have to know Git basics. And we're covering all the Git basics in the guide I'll be sharing. So we'd like to thank everybody for joining us here. Thank you, Samuel. Thank you, Josiah, for that wonderful session. And thank you to the GDSC team who made this possible. Um, we'll be discussing further in the group chat. We also would like to thank MLSA because this is a partnership. We couldn't have done it without them. Josiah is a member of the MLSA, although he's already in GDSC too. So, on that note, I'll be ending this now. Thank you very much.